raise your hand. We're going to start it in the room. Glenn?
Thanks. Kevin, so the Inter-Miami match, first half, it seemed like pressing, winning the ball back. It was just so evident. Get the lead, and then it just seems like there's a mentality shift there, but you're also trying to kill the game. Can you just talk about the blend of those two things, and trying to maintain the advantage?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we did come out and press really well in that game. I think we caused some turnovers and hit them pretty well on the counter, and created a few chances that way. I think Santi's goal is a good example of that, where we press, we recover the ball, and then kind of counter, get a foul, and then we play a quick free kick to get the goal. So, and yeah, I think it's tough to press for 90 minutes, especially in Miami in that humidity. So I think it was just kind of about picking our moments. I think it was more about that than a mentality shift. And of course, we want to try to kill the game at the end, but obviously it played out the way it did, and we just need to look ahead to make sure we capture 6 points before the end of the season. Can
you just go through their equalizer a little bit? Defending corners is something you train, and it's it's unfortunate, but can you, from your vantage point, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we've improved a lot on this year. I think we started the year kind of rocky in defending corners, and I think we've gone on a really, really good stretch of games without conceding one. And, unfortunately it happened. And I think it was just one of those where we're absorbing a lot of pressure into the game, and, a couple more minutes and we would have been in the clear. But yeah, it's just sometimes a guy makes a play, and like there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So obviously we'll look back at it and see where we can make some adjustments to make sure it doesn't happen again. But yeah, it was just one of those plays that doesn't go your way.
Can you talk about what the locker room was like after the game, and what were the instructions post game? It's the third time already that the team on the road has lost a lead in stoppage time. And from your perspective, what can the team do to avoid this happening again?
Yeah, I mean, super disappointed in the locker room after the game. It's a game where we feel like we lost 2 points rather than gained one. So obviously in the moment, that's how we feel, and we have to look at it, at least in that moment, we have to look at it as a point gain, just because of the point in the season we need to, kind of think positively and make sure we're moving forward and capturing more points as we go. And then in terms of, not letting it happen again, I think trying to kill the game with possession is really important. And obviously I think, they did a pretty good job at sending numbers forward and pinning us back. And that's sort of why we saw at the end of the game that it felt like we were absorbing a lot of pressures, because they were kind of kicking numbers on, and their season, depended on some points too. So yeah, I think it's just, finding that second goal obviously is a big help, and then killing games with possession is what we can try to do moving forward.
The mission going forward is pretty simple. You got to win your next 2 games. Yeah. And right now you're in need of help from other places, with Charlotte and Montreal.
Yeah.
How long does it take to get over what happened in Miami, and then going forward and focusing on DC?
Yeah, I mean, I think not very long. I think we're confident in our performances lately. We've taken 7 points from the last 3 games. So the team feels like we're in a really good spot in terms of performances and results. So I think, with the 2 fixtures we have left, it's a really good opportunity for us to take those 3 points, because there are 2 teams that are chasing us as well. So the pressure's on, and I think we're embracing it, and the opportunity is there for us. So, 6 weeks ago, if you put us in this position, I think we all would have taken it as a group. So I think we're excited for the challenge, and looking forward to the games.
Thank you.
Onto the Zoom, we're going to go with Chris Campbell.
Hey, Kevin. The last 6 games, the team has only allowed 2 goals, and neither of them from run and play, the penalty against Vancouver and then the corner kick last week. What has been the difference defensively for the team during this last stretch, and how do you keep it going against DC?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job at pressing up the fields. I think you can kind of see the commitment from the back line and also the front four to really press the ball up the field and create turnovers in their half. So I think that's kind of given us an edge. Defending in our offensive half has been really helpful in keeping clean sheets and keeping teams from scoring from the run of play. And I think it's just that same mentality in these last couple of games is to make sure we're on the front foot and we're pressing hard. And we need to be doing that in order to score goals too. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Andrew?
Hello. This is 2 seasons in a row where sort of right at the end of the season, you've slotted back into the starting lineup after a pretty long stretch of not maybe starting as often. What is different this year compared to last year in terms of the sort of challenges? Obviously, it's like regular season versus not playoffs where you finished last year, but you're sort of in that same playoff mentality. So how hard is it to go in to kind of not playing as often right into sort of like must-win games individually, just from that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year kind of prepared me for that, honestly. We were in some important games last year. My first game was a final, and so that was obviously kind of a must-win game from our perspective. And the last few games this season, we didn't have our playoff spot cemented, so they were all really important games to take points on the road in Atlanta and points at home against Orlando in a comeback win. So the stakes are a little bit different this year, sure, but last year was also really important to get those points at the end of the year. So I guess personally, nothing really changes. I think played in some big games down the stretch last year that I think it prepared me for this year. So excited to be in this position. I think we all want to play in these games because they're so important. So just happy to be involved in the last few, and hopefully we can keep the same going forward.
Michael Andrea?
Kevin, in the game versus Miami, NYCFC had the lowest possession percentage of the entire season. Just curious if that was something that was planned for, or if that was just something that Miami did a better job of controlling that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of the way the game shook out. I think in the early parts of the game, we were pretty assertive on the ball, and we had some good spells of possession. And then I think, with their wingbacks playing pretty high, it forced us back a bit. And so that's why we conceded some possession to them. But I also think even though they had a lot of possession, I think honestly, we probably created the better chances and the majority of the chances. And I think that's because they were committing a lot of numbers and we were able to hit them on the counter. So I don't necessarily think that, the possession in that game was so important because we were found ways to create on the counter anyway. But yeah, of course, our style of play is possession oriented and we want to dominate the ball, but I don't think it was a detriment in that game.
Christian?
Hi, Kevin. You touched on it there. You need 2 wins from the last 2 games. Do you appreciate that the job is a little bit simpler? There's not really much else to consider. You know the target. You know what you have to aim for.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think, the 10 weeks leading up to this, I think, there was so much season left that anything could really happen. And now, like you say, the picture is really clear for us. We need 6 points here because, teams are chasing us and teams are in very similar spots to us. So, it makes it a lot clearer. Like the mission is there and we just have to go out and execute and take it now.